Somebody needs you to be your best. Until you tap into that, don't pretend you're into personal development. Don't pretend, because personal development was always tied to social progress. Personal development was always tied to service and to leadership. And I know I don't need to preach that to you, but if you're not doing this every morning, if you keep bumbling into the day without reminding yourself of your why it's necessary to win, that's why you keep playing at half speed versus full speed. You got to get your mindset at full speed. The way to do that is to remind yourself of the whys. Habit number 4, easy one. Everyone gets this one. Increase productivity. High performers are more productive than everybody else. And often, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. I mean, listen to this. This is a crazy statistic. Did you know the average American watches 4 hours of television a day? 4 hours of television. Listen, that doesn't mean the TV is on for 4 hours. They watch 4 hours. Now, I'm not a super smart guy, but I ran the math on this. Did you know if you're distracted, maybe TV's not your thing, maybe it's the computer or the app or the Instagram or whatever, and most people, they are losing 4 hours a day just being disorganized, not prepared, not focusing on things that matter. But listen to this stat. 4 hours a day. Over the average adult lifespan, let's just call it in television. If you watch 4 hours of television a day, over the average lifespan of the human in North America, that means you were in front of that tube 13 years. 13 years of your life at television. And by the way, 13 years, 24/7. Every minute, every second of the day. That's what 4 hours costs you. And listen, as I told you even earlier, 20 minutes lost every single day over the course of the year, that adds up to a little over 2 weeks, 24/7, every second of the day. You got more time. People say, Brandon, I don't have time. I go, no, you don't have a good enough reason to use your time well. Brandon, I ain't got no time. No, you don't have a good enough reason to use your time well yet, because when you take life seriously, when you got someone who needs you, time management is not the problem. But here's what high performers do uniquely to increase their productivity. They focus on something we call PQO. PQO. It stands for prolific quality output. I didn't understand this one first when we did the research, but prolific quality output, what does it mean? It means they've identified the major needle-moving activities that moves their life forward or their business forward, and they focus on that most of the week. Now I know you're like, no duh, Brendan, but no, follow me on this one. Like when you think of a Van Gogh or a Beethoven or any prolific sports star or any prolific person even in your industry, what they were doing was they were focused on just a few things, and they did that with greater quality, more prolifically than anybody else. That's why they became great. The science supports it too, and here was the number that really got me. What they've done is they've identified the things they need to be most prolific at, and they do those things 60% of the week. 60%. So 60% of their week is focused on PQO, or what you might call the needle-moving activities, like the big blocks that really matter. 40%, they're still doing administration, taking care of the kid. They're doing whatever they need to do. But 60% of their work week is focused on the things that matter. So what you have to do is go, what matters the most in my career? Is it prospect calls? Is it meeting? Is it knocking on the door? What type of person do you need to talk to get the sale? What should you be doing with most of your week? And you need to reorient your week. 60% of the week focuses on that. You'll call me in a year and go, Brendan, I just changed my life forever. And the lesson's super simple. You need to identify the outputs that matter the most and obsess about them. Identify the outputs that matter the most and get obsessed about them. Like really obsess on them. I know that makes sense But you got to get rid of distraction for doing that. You got to be focused. You got to have a bigger dream, and you got to own that dream. People aren't productive because they haven't owned the dream yet. Once you own the dream, you're productive. So everyone say it with me. I own my dream.
I own my dream.
Turn to the person on the right, shake them, say, you own your dream.
You own your dream.
If you own your dream, you're producing towards the dream. If you like the dream, you're thinking about the dream. If you own the dream, you're producing towards the dream. If you like the dream, you think about the dream. High performers increase productivity by getting the things that matter the most done, right? It's that old thing. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. There you go. Habit number 5, they develop influence. You're so good at this. Leading each other, supporting each other, cheering each other on. They develop influence intentionally and purposefully, and you can tell about it. It matters to them. And you got to do that more often, more intentionally. This is a group of leaders here, but I bet I could predict exactly why you became influential in your life. Matter of fact, unless the science is wrong, I can tell you exactly why every person who was influenced in your life was that way. And test me on this. Let's see if we get this right. Think of somebody who was the most positively influential person in your life. The most positively influential person in your life. They did one of 3 things to have that influence with you, or all 3 things. So leaders, write this down. There's only 3 things in influence. Once you understand and wield them intentionally, you change lives and you're a better leader. There's only 3 things. And I bet this person who influenced you well did them. The first part of influence is you have to teach people how to think. Like that person you thought of a minute ago, they taught you how to think. They taught you how to think about yourself or your family or other people or the world. Listen, associates. You must now learn to tell people how to think more often, or invite them to share how they're thinking more often. Right? One of the most successful books of all time was a book called Think and Grow Rich. What was the first word?
Think.
That book is one of the most successful books in the world because it taught people how to think. You've got to do that on purpose. If there's anything I actually shared up here that resonated or had any influence, it's because I was sharing, think like this. Think about your mortality. Think about your second chances. Think about your family. Think about who needs you on your A game. It's all about teaching people how to think. You just need to do it more often, consistently as a leader. The second thing I bet they did, they challenged you. They challenged you. Who had somebody challenge you to become a better person? Yeah, that person had the greatest influence with you. You now have to challenge the people around you. Don't let them play small. Don't let them make excuses. Don't let them just get by or go through the motions. Say, hey, young man, hey, woman, I know you got more in you. What do you need some help with? I know you got more in you. What's your dream? What do you want to make happen? You can do that for other people. Leaders challenge others, and you got to do it. The third thing to develop influence, they role modeled the way. They role modeled that way. They showed up, they were the example. It's all the people we had up here who were so extraordinary. They were the role models, they were getting it done. You gotta be the role model for other people. The kids are watching. Your team is watching. You gotta be the role model. For me, my role model was my dad. It was that picture I showed you earlier. I love that picture because that would be the last seminar of mine my dad ever came to. He would pass away to acute myeloid leukemia in 2009. And that was my first big event he came to. He brought the whole theater thing to life, and he was there and he showed up. You know, the old gunnery sergeant. He did 3 tours in Vietnam, 22 years as a Marine. He'd be there at 5 a.m., first guy. 5 a.m., he would carry those boxes, he'd organize the team. He was so happy. He was so happy and proud. And I said, one of the greatest gifts you ever get to give your family or the people who had influence on you, let them see you living your dream. Let them see you working for it. Let them see you doing it. Let them have that gift. I'm happy you got to see that gift. I'm here because of Dad. He would always say the same 7 things to us before he passed away from leukemia. I was on the road when they gave him the final diagnosis, and he said that he had 7 days to live. So I had to get back home, but I was so scared he would pass away, so I called him. I said, hey, Dad, I'd like to ask you some questions about life. And I asked to record the call. I was so scared I wouldn't get there. So I asked him interview questions about life. And I just asked him 30 questions about, how he grew up and what he thought about his family, what he learned from grandma and grandpa, how he met my mom, what he thought of each kid when he had us, what he wanted us to know about life. And throughout that interview, he was sharing things that made me realize he was so intentional about influence his whole life. I never knew it. Because he'd say things during the interview he was always saying to us. He said the same 7 things, maybe not in order, but throughout our life. And listen, because whether you like me or don't like me or know me or don't know me, if all I ever could do is pass on my dad's stuff, I'd be super happy about that. And what Dad was always saying, listen how good this is. He was always saying these things. Be yourself. Be honest. Do your best. Take care of your family. Treat people with respect. Be a good citizen. Follow your dreams. I was saying one way or another. And when he shared that with me towards the end of his life, I really understood influence for the first time in some ways, because it's kind of this message that you got to remember you are always influencing people at every single moment. So be intentional. My dad was so intentional until the end. I thought, oh, you're telling me that now, but you were telling us throughout life. You got to know how you want to be influential to your children and how you want to be influential to your team. So remember, how you show up today, when you leave these doors and you talk to your team, you're making influence, so be responsible for your energy. You're making influence, so lead well. You're making influence, so change the world. You have that opportunity. You have to remember it. Is this true, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
You have so much influence. Stop forgetting it. Stop forgetting what you are capable of and can show people, because we need you right now. I heard the speakers earlier who were saying, hey, the world's not always perfect right now. We got to do a better job. We got to show up. Your work, your mission, it's important. It's important to people like me who couldn't afford our energy. It's important to people out there who don't have the opportunities you have. You have influence, so wield that. Will you do that, yes?
Yes.
All right. You just got to say it's your time at some point. It's your time. And when you know it's your time, you're ready to lead, you'll develop the habits. You'll go for it, you'll be brave, you'll be courageous, you'll make it happen because you're wondering who needs you on your A game, and you'll go serve them, and you will show up. I'll share the last thing I learned a pretty hard way through our research was this idea of demonstrating courage. Probably the one I sucked at the most, demonstrating courage. You're going to leave these doors and you're going to go demonstrate courage by going for it or apologizing or holding it back. You're going to demonstrate courage for your family by the way you address your fears and you step into the unknown. Because many of you don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. But if you keep facing uncertainty so scared versus charging in, you won't have the breakthrough. It's okay that you don't know how it's exactly going to go. Show up confident anyway, because confidence is your belief in your ability to figure things out, and you can figure it out. When you own that dream, when you want to serve other people, you figure it out. You just now have to jump into it bravely. Got one final story for you about this, because I wasn't good at courage. My whole life I had a lot of fears growing up. There was a lot of anger, there was a lot of challenge and turmoil where I grew up, so I was never a confident kid. And I also grew up in a place where there was a lot of violence. So I was always just kind of holding back and turning back. It led to a lot of weird fears as I grew up. One of them was I had a tremendous terror of heights. And matter of fact, I mean, this stage right here, I'm a little far back, but I was scared of heights for a long time. And something taught me how to do courage, because it's not like most of us think. And here's what that was for me. You know, I'll show the last few pictures here. My buddies decided on my friend's bachelor party to go skydiving. The thing I was most terrified of in my life was this idea, and they all knew it. And sometimes it takes the people around you to make you more courageous. And I remember, I'll never forget, ever forget what happened. We were on this trip, we're in the middle of Arizona. We pull up literally what felt like in the middle of the desert. And we pull up in 2 SUVs with my friends. And we get out, and I remember there was a barn over here, the plane in the middle, and a bar over here. Bar. And I said, I am not doing this until I see which building the pilot comes out of. Luckily, he came out of the barn, and he walked up to us, and it was kind of a rickety-looking plane. And he takes us in the barn, he sits us down, and he says, okay, guys, here's what's going to happen. And he starts walking us through. They play a video, he's explaining everything and demonstrating everything, but I am so terrified I can't even hear. I'm shaking my leg, I'm looking around, I'm telling my friend, I think I'm going to sit there, I'm kind of feeling sick, I don't think I can do this. You know, every excuse possible. You can even see, look at this picture. My friends are so excited. Look at the face I have. We're about to do what? I remember we hop into the plane, and the plane takes off. Now the plane doesn't have a back door, just a big hole cut in the back of the plane. Takes off, that kind of thing. And I remember this picture. This is like maybe 5,000 feet in the air. We're gonna go to 15,000 feet and then jump out. Now, 2 things about this picture. One, if you know me, that's the fakest smile in the history of fake smile. I'm mortified. The guy sitting to my right, he's gonna be the guy who saves my life. We're gonna jump tandemly. He's gonna strap to my back, and we're gonna jump out. He's gonna make sure I'm not gonna die. The guy on my left, I'm not sure, but I think he's high. Don't know who he is. And I remember we get up a little higher, it's like 10,000 feet, and the plane's like, and we get up to like 12,000 feet. Getting really loud, getting scarier. We get up to 15,000 feet, and the plane goes, and all of a sudden, when it goes like this, my friends who are sitting on a bench across from me, we go, my friends start sliding down, just watching your friends fall to their death. And I start freaking out on this guy. I'm like, oh my God. He starts strapping. I'm like, oh no, wait, what am I supposed to do? I forgot, I'm freaking out. I can't even talk. I'm spitting, I'm terrified. And he wouldn't answer me. I'm like, well, no, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. He's like, hey man, you'll be okay. And I'm like, are you high? I thought he was high. And he goes, look, 5,000, pull. 5,000, pull. And what he's motioning towards is this big wristwatch called an altimeter that he's put on my wrist. And when it says 5,000, that means I'm supposed to pull this little orange, like tennis ball, and it will just release the chute and hopefully save my life. So I'm like, 5,000 pull, I can do that. 5,000 pull, I can do that. Come on, Brendan, you've been through personal development. Get motivated here. You can handle this. Fire yourself up. So I start talking. I said, come on, Brendan, you got this. Man, you can do this. I'm telling myself all the good positive things. Think positive. You can do this. Friend.
Cuando
We get it. We're going next. I can do this. I've been to Tony Robbins. I know what to do. So we get to it. The plane goes, and we start sliding down. As we're sliding down the door, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. We get to the door. I'm confident. I'm ready to jump out. And he goes, 1. I go, oh. He goes, 1. I go, no. He goes, 2. I go, no. He goes, 3. I go, no. And he throws me out of this thing. I remember, and look at Buddha back there. He's calm, he's cool. No problem. I love this next picture. Like screaming through my legs. Looks like I pooped my pants. None of your business. And then you are falling 200 miles an hour. 150 to 200 miles. You are falling. And I remember the wind, it's so incredibly loud, and of course you don't hear the wind because you're screaming. And I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, and then something goes wrong. Can you see it? Look. I'll zoom in. You see? Oh yeah, exactly, yeah. One, the hair is being ripped from my body. This is wrong, people. Not a big deal, but that little thing on my goggles snaps. Not a big deal unless you're falling 180 miles an hour, because I'm like, and I was like, snap, ooh, and then it catches wind. And I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. I forget what I'm supposed to do, so Buddha points down the ground like, hey, kid, do something. And I'm like, I'm getting my head drilled through. I forget what I'm supposed to do, so like any good coach, he goes to give me a nice little reminder, and he goes to grab my hand and show me the wristwatch for 5,000 feet. But of course, I'm screaming like Gumby and having my head drilled through, so I don't miss. So when he grabs my hand, I don't feel it, and my hand catches wind. Thought he broke my mouth. I just remember, I'm like, why do you punch me in the face, man? Why'd you punch me in the face? He goes, pull. I look down and grab my hand, hits me again. I'm like, oh. I reach out, I grab thing, I reach back, I grab it, and I pull it, bam! And I pull it up like this, and the picture does not show how painful that was. And it's like, you know, it's so funny. By the way, I love skydiving. I don't want to turn anyone off on this story, but...
Eso es lo que voy a hacer yo.
Could you imagine if they'd shown me a commercial for this nonsense? Could you imagine a commercial that would be motivating to go do this? I'll give you it right now. So you pull up, you get in a rickety plane. You get in the rickety plane, you go up. You go up really high. 5,000 pull, I can do that. 5,000 pull, no problem. All of a sudden, watching your friends. I got this. Okay, let's go. Yes. 1, no, 2, no, 3. Sure is beautiful up here, man. It's beautiful. It's so good. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I start crying and we start going down. He says, hey, Brendan, lift your legs. I go, why? He goes, so you don't break them. Good tip, yes, sir. Lift those legs up. We land, we go over. My friends call it the hero shot. Yes. But I actually have a point to this story. Because what happened next? I'm standing with my friends after the hero shot. The guy comes over, the guy who's strapped to my back. He comes over with a little CD case. A CD was a round thing that they put lasers on. Anyway, gives me a CD. He goes, hey, Brendan, here you go. I said, what's this? He goes, your pictures. I go, they were taking pictures? He goes, yeah, can I talk with you? And I go, okay. He says, come over here. So he pulls me away from my friends. And we stand over here, and he points to the plane. And he goes, you see that plane over there? I go, yes, sir. He says, Brendan, how many times do you think I jumped out of that plane? I don't know, sir. He says, well, Brendan, I've jumped out of that plane 1,184 times. But even before we got on that plane, Brendan, I knew You were one of those guys. Well, what does that mean, sir? He says, well, let me ask you real quick, man, what do you do? Oh, crap. You know, I'm like a motivational speaker. It's like all my dates in high school, he goes, oh. Okay, well, he says, let me help you out with your career, Brendan. When you got in the barn, and I looked at you, I saw how you were receiving information. I could tell you were scared, but you're one of those guys. I said, what does that mean, one of those guys? You're one of those guys, Brendan, who is yet to learn to listen through the fear. You're one of those guys. You haven't learned to listen through the fear. You want to do something, but you can't even listen through the fear. You listen to the fear and you stop. He said, some other people, though, your friends, they had the same fear. They listened to what was being told to them, though. They kept learning, even though they were scared, they kept absorbing information, and they tried. You stopped. You listened to it, and you froze. They listened through it, and they jumped. And that's why they had so much fun, and you screamed like a 3-year-old the whole way down. And I was like, oh my God. Listen to that idea. To demonstrate courage. What do we think about? We hear courage, we go, oh, I gotta be bold and brave and amazing. But it's not like everyone who has courage is jumping into rivers to save babies. It's like, no, they got a dream, they own their dream. Everyone say, I own my dream.
I own my dream.
They own their dream, and then when the fears come up, yes, they listen. But instead of listen to stop, they listen to learn. They seek clarity by asking the people around them how they can succeed. They generate energy by taking control of that fear and asking, how do I want to feel? They bring joy even to the difficult